Went to LCS Challengers, FlyQuest versus Fear, and what a display from FlyQuest. The Nocturne Orianna combo, man, so fast were members of Fear deleted off the map.
That, I've never personally played against that, thankfully, because I think it's a particularly difficult combination to pull off, at least for my elo, but it does look very unfun. I mean, because of the nearsightedness, basically by the time Nocturne's in your screen, by the time you can actually flash, you're dead. Sorry, man. And it's a really potent combination. Here, pretty much had their chances to get the lead before Nocturne got a lead and hit level 6, and the opposite happened.
And I think a lot of that came from the way the lanes did play out. I mean, Chad had a hard time catching up. Shaden was pretty much on top of that. We saw the double scuttle that happened earlier. On top of that, Quad in the early game gets a solo kill against Toasty. It's not the best start for Fear in that game, number one.
Part of it, too, is they did a really good job setting up vision early to make sure that they basically always had eyes on when Chad would go for a prospective gank. Because when you're playing Orianna against the Jarvan, that kind of vision game really gives you confidence on play that lane aggressively because it was winning in isolation. So I think that was really smart, a really smart early game game plan from FlyQuest to kind of negate the one thing Fear really needed to do. So I do want to give props for that.
Yeah, I think I do think on the other side of things for Fear, you got to give them props on how they were able to adjust to the composition that they were going against. Sure, they lost, and sure, they weren't able to get that much headway, but they were able to put this into a stalemate for quite some time and have moments, have bright moments here and there where they are getting kills onto Lens, onto Toasty. We saw the shutdown, 500 gold Lens picked up when he killed Shaden. Yeah. There were moments here and there.
There were, and it really came down to the few times you could dodge the Nocturne-Nico combination, but they weren't able to dodge it for very long. It's hard, too, because even though they were able to do a really good job past a certain point, around 20-25 minutes, to avoid getting picked off randomly, Fear were very careful about how they approached clearing vision on their side of the map and actually doing a pretty decent job getting neutral vision around objectives. The problem just ends up being that fighting for them was so hard. As the Lucian, especially, trying to play into that range against like a Varus and an Orianna did prove very difficult for Lens, despite how strong he ended up being, despite how much damage he was capable of doing.
I mean, you're in the mid lane, you're farming, you think you're safe, and then suddenly there's domain expansion. Here comes Nocturne.
He wasn't even actually farming. He was approaching the tier 2 turret, and he was pretty close to it. Just, unfortunately, he was out of the fountain. So it's his fault, really. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, how dare you leave the base, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, FlyQuest, I want to see more of the same from them. Obviously, they can't pull off the same combo that they pulled off last time.
This is Fearless.
Let's pull up what the bans are going to be since this is Fearless. So that Nocturne Orianna, since it was picked last game, that's the way Fearless works. You cannot pick it the next game. You cannot pick it the rest of the series, more specifically. So for FlyQuest, no longer going to have that. Still a good team, though. I imagine they have a lot more recipes to cook.
Absolutely. I mean, both of these teams, I think overall Fear, I actually think they draft pretty well, looking at the last series they've gone on to. It is interesting, though, because Fear choose blue for the second game. And it's interesting that I think FlyQuest have had the highest priority of red side. When they have side selection for game 1, they choose red side. I don't think they haven't lost the game yet. So they haven't had that opportunity to choose it. But the point is, they feel that side clearly is very strong. And they've done a pretty decent job at showing that with some of these drafts they've cooked up.
I'm curious how Fear is going to approach this next draft. Again, Chad is a very, very creative jungler. We talked about how he likes Kha'Zix, Rengar, all these wild, wacky picks they can pull out of nowhere and take these wild routes. Toasty has a pretty flexible champion pull on top of that. Very good at champions that can team fight. We talked so much about the Yone and Nico that were both banned away last game that he wasn't able to grab. Would you expect something else to come out of his champion pool that can complement with some synergies with Chad to get these team fights going for Fear?
I'm glad you mentioned the Nico, because that is something kind of at the back of my mind. It was banned in that second rotation, but it is something that I think you can pick early. It is really safe blind, especially with Orianna no longer being available. or FlyQuest because Quad has already played it this series. So that could be something that could actually get you mid-priority. You could get push. It could free up Chad a little more to go for some of these aggressive plays. Go for these invades. Try to take away a Raptor camp here, a blue buff there, or just go ahead and help mid move to set up dives on the bot side, because Lens is a player too where you can put some eggs in his basket. He's definitely someone who we've seen carry in the past when he played for 100 Thieves next, replacing Array, who went over to Golden Guardians Academy at the time. He definitely stepped up. We didn't really know much about him coming over from the TCL, but he's a player since then who I think I've been pretty excited about. I enjoy watching him play because I think he is a really aggressive player, for better or worse, kind of like Chad, but I think he comes out ahead more often than not. It's not so bad, you know?
Yeah. And I think going into Sajid, as we said at the start of the last game, this, I believe, is going to be Sajid's tough opponent so far in the season. Lens, very, very capable. It was Spawn, the first one, and Minui was the first match, and then Spawn immediately after that. So it is a step-up level of competition. I do feel it's the stage for Sajid to really prove himself.
Right, and I think so far in that game one, I think lane phase went honestly pretty fine. You were going even in a matchup that was trying to put a lot of pressure on you, pushing you in pretty consistently. And the only time you really started to fall behind was, remember, it was a very successful Jarvan dive that ended with both of them being killed at the end of it. So imagine what they're going to do with a winning matchup if that ends up coming to pass. They don't have the Varus, which, judging by the 80 carries they usually get through, one of the strongest that we've seen come through for the most part in lane. So I'm wondering what kind of matchup they're going to get for themselves to set it up. Maybe Kalista or something along those lines. That would be really exciting.
All right, we are getting word that the draft is ready, so we can stop pondering on that and actually get into this draft and seeing how this is going to go down. As you see in the middle, we do got the Fearless bans coming in. Again, to reiterate, if a team picks that champion, they cannot pick it for the rest of the series. And it's specific to that team only. It doesn't apply to both. So here we go, headed in the draft.
All right, so again, the sides haven't swapped. And because of what's unavailable now, I'm really curious to see what Fear are going to go for as their first pick. You mentioned the Nico. I'm still very interested in that one. Just given the idea that's something that Toasty can play to get some priority in the mid lane. Maybe Yone, I think, might be okay as well, but it depends on if FlyQuest are actually going to give Quad the Azir, or if they're going to wait till the second rotation bans just so they can get rid of that.
I mean, what bans are you expecting to come out of FlyQuest? The Karma should
be
the next one.
The same
That's
one.
a very obvious B1. You think Ash Karma next?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they've done this every game since the beginning of the split. It's literally Seraphine, Ash, Karma. And you know what? Power to them. They're all very strong. So do your thing.
All right. The only reason I personally asked that is because I want to know, is Nico going to be available? Is this something that Toasty is going to be able to play? So we weren't able to see it last game. I want to see it this game. That's what I want to get to. I want to see the team fight potential that Toasty can bring with this final ban for Fear will be Milio.
Do they want to make sure Sajid can't get maybe a Lucian Milio, a Felios Milio type of combo coming through here? And that last ban, as expected from FlyQuest, is Karma. So the big question, was it going to be the Nico? The Varus was available, so they're just going to go ahead and get that. Now Lens has a really strong laning 80 carry, and as long as you get a decent support matchup, you got to imagine they'll be able to keep that push that they got in the first game.
I mean, the game has been revolving around the bot lane so much. Dragon stackings have become a pretty big focus. As bot lane picks, that means that they are going to be critical in this current meta. And showing the bot lane already is going to be both sides. We have the Varus on one end. The response is going to be the ever-aggressive Kalista.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in what Fear are looking to pair with it, because there's a good chance that you just immediately grab the Renata to make sure that Daption can't run that with the Varus. But instead, wow, so it's the instant Nico grab, which is an interesting one. You deny that one from Toasty. So that means that he has to go for a bit of a different option there.
Yeah, and that's nice for FlyQuest for that reason you had just said. It denies it from Toasty. Toasty's biggest strength is the angles he takes team fights. Team fighting is really, really nice when you're on a Nico. Now Cassante gets locked in for Philip, as well as Heimerdinger for Fear. Ooh.
Wow, so they're going for a really aggressive bottom lane there. Varus Heimer. I'm interested. I'm wondering, am I imagining this, or did Chime have a Nico support game in their first match? I may be imagining. I think
you're imagining that.
I might be just imagining. I swear I saw Nico support somewhere. It's definitely a possible one there, but it is funny to me that we're also seeing the top laners just pick so early, and it seems like the trend is continuing where we're saving jungle and mid for the most part till 4-5. I'm not convinced on that Nico yet.
Okay, yeah, he has not played.
He hasn't played it. Never mind. Then mid has been picked probably for FlyQuest.
Yeah, the first series that we saw out of Chime, he played Hook Champions, then went to the Karma, and then went to the Ashe. So
yeah, look to the Orianna's band as well. They're really kind of putting Toasty in a tough position there, making sure they can't 4-5 the Nocturne Orianna themselves. They're also just removing what we consider premier lane, mid-lane picks, excuse me. So now the champs that Toasty tends to play, maybe not the best. Like Akali is pretty tough into Nico. I don't think Yone is very fun either. So we're going to have to see what he actually ends up coming through with.
I mean, if he does take the Yone, he's going to look more for mid-game fights than he would be looking for that laning phase, because it could be a bit of a struggle over there. Ban is going to be the Poppy, so taking that away. The Poppy could be a hard counter for that Kalista. We'd seen it before. I remember it was Rock Boom, pick the Kalista, and then say hello to Rock, Talia, Boom, Poppy. Yeah, you're not surviving that. So a good ban to at least set up this bot lane so it's not going to get hard countered by the jungle.
100%. So there's still a couple of options. You still have plenty of engaged champs coming through with the Vi taken away. Chad could still go for something like the Xin Zhao. He could go for something kind of aggressive like you talked about earlier, Eric, where he likes playing the Rengar, the Kha'Zix. I mean, maybe we won't see that one come through necessarily this time around, but maybe this is the angle Chad is looking forward to set something up. Maybe even the Graves, which we've seen pop up just a little bit. And he does have a pushing bottom lane, so that would be already a nice start for this champion. For that champion, rather.
I like how they tried to fake us out right there.
See? So it is... Wait, so it is Nico support.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be Nico in the bottom lane. Should be Jace in the mid right there.
I just see the future, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I know I saw it somewhere, but at the end of the day...
It was the future.
It was the future. Playing that into something like the Heimer, you can kind of match the poke. You have decent gank setup. He is really good at trying to set up ganks, set up plays, and of course the ultimate in team fights is still really good. So at this point, I'm just waiting to see what Shaden is going to go for. I see the Viego hover. I was wondering if he was going to go for something like that, because when you have a comp that has it's going for all in, that has a lot of burst damage, I think Viego loves those just because it's so easy for him to get that first reset.
Yeah, so easy to get that first reset and deny damage with the animation of actually taking the reset at the same time. But I do like what Fly have so far, because there is a delivery system for this Nico, right?
Yeah.
Press the Fate's Call, just chuck Chime in, baby, and have him do the rest. Next pick to come in for a more supportive route with the Ivern. No, it's going to be the Brand Jungle. I've been waiting for this one for quite some time now. It was Music who was hyping me up on this one, so now I'm going to see the Brand Jungle coming out from Shaden.
Yeah, so you have this comp that is really good with all in, and it's just a clear front to back there from FlyQuest. And the thing that's nice too for Shaden, he has a decent amount of push in some of these lanes, so he's gonna feel okay full clearing, which is basically it's like Nocturne, but much faster, where you just want to clear a couple of times, get some gold, get some levels, and you just do so much damage. It's actually super unreasonable. The big thing Fear have going for them is the Syndra, in my opinion. You skirmish really well with the Viego, and you have that Scouter of the Week that can actually buy you a lot of space, which, looking at FlyQuest comp, something you really want for yourself in these team fights. So Toasty, on a pick that we've seen from him in the past, has a lot on his shoulders this game.
Yeah, but if you can get those Scouter of the Weeks on the right target, there is so much pick potential that Fear really do have right now. As we head on to the Rift, Cincinnati Fear going against FlyQuest Challengers. So far, FlyQuest able to take game number 1 off a Nocturne Orianna combo. FlyQuest for another one as they take a 5-man stack straight to the bot lane. Daption's going to spot that out.
Yeah, that was well played from FlyQuest. I mean, when you're playing Heimer support, you usually want to get early turret set up so you can get that poke, that lane advantage. So it's really smart for FlyQuest to just send all 5 members and kind of prevent that from happening, because Daption ended up going in it alone. You can already tell Sasha and Chime, I think, are they just going to sit in that bush? Like, they're just going to sit there and maybe try to get an early health lead for themselves so that they can be the ones to get that push on the bottom side.
And it is a lot of pressure on Sajed to not just get that early push, but to win the lane outright. So we got to hold that thought, because now the invade for Cincinnati Fear, they've set it up, and now they're going for Surdy. Chad and Philip swinging away at him, but it's Chad who's taking more damage, has to flash away from Surdy's Q. Out comes the blast plant, going to be used to protect Surdy, as well as Shaden, who's able to get over the wall, but has he put enough distance between them? One more hunter should do it. It's first blood coming out for Toasty, excuse me. Surdy going underneath the tower, just barely gets himself to safety. Fear set up the trap in the jungle of Fly, and they pull it off.
Wow, a really exciting level 1, and I really like the call there, because we said it, Brand needs to farm, but now Shaden, he just died, he used his flash, has to start bot side, and he's set kind of far behind. The only thing that is kind of alright for him is that Chad lost so much of his health that he wants to just go back and farm his own side of the map. So not much is going to be lost to Shaden. He's just set a little far behind, and oh, wow.
Chime and Sajed really wanting blood right there, almost catching Daption. Lens did have to burn his flash as well, so this is setting up early targets for this bot lane.
It's still going to be Lens and... Oh, I was going to say Lens and Daption, but again, this bot lane is going to be super scrappy, like we saw, and if you end up getting a lead, and it's Kalista, we know her to be so good at snowballing, and getting a lead in this bottom side would be so good for Shaden as well. It would allow FlyQuest as a whole to go ahead and stack Drakes and build themselves up towards that Dragon Soul.
Yeah. And to some level, this aggressiveness really does need to be kept up from Sajed and Chime. That's the point I was going to get to earlier. It feels absolutely miserable if you're Kalista and you don't leave with the lead. Yeah. Like, being able to have that back-end damage and punish as hard as Kalista does when it comes to laning, not being able to utilize that kind of kills the point of taking this Kalista in the first place.
Right. And then looking mid lane too, you can see Toasty, of course, getting pushed in. Behind the Jace is pretty normal and what you can expect, but he is trading pretty decently. And again, a lot is going to be on him this game. Trying to set up fights with big stuns, trying to disengage when FlyQuest are looking for the all-ins. So he needs this early game to go well from him. And he needs to not get a solo kill like he did before.
Hold your breath on that one. As every time I see someone walk up, I get a little bit worried. Quad doesn't have much mana, so he wasn't really going to go for too much right there. We'll just take the recall. Now, taking a look back at the jungle pathing, Shaden has been able to keep up with Chad, and to a big extent right there, it's to be expected. Brand clears very, very fast when he's in that jungle role. So now that Shaden has a little bit of breathing room, we'll be able to grab that Scuttle Crab and take a recall.
Yeah, and maybe... I'm wondering if he actually cancels it. Nope, he's just going to go ahead and place some vision and finish that recall and just go back to farming. And I got to say real quick, I want to give props to Surdy. I mean, he's getting prio against Philip on both sides of this matchup. I mean, this is a player who we talk about being such a good laner all throughout last year. Wanted to see him improve the kind of angles he takes in team fights, and I think so far he's done a pretty good job of that. But looking good so far.
Yeah, Surdy has been honestly one of my favorite stories in NACL because he did have a little bit of a bad reputation at some point back when we were in Academy, and he worked really hard to rectify that and to show how good of a team player he can be. And he's really jumped leaps and bounds from where he was before. So many people definitely do enjoy having this guy on their team.
Yeah, it is amazing to see because, you know, sometimes those narratives kind of follow you basically till the end of your career. It's really hard to shake those things, so props to Surdy for being able to make it happen. And overall, besides that, Fear looking at roughly a 500 gold lead. Oh, maybe more.
Oh, the Heimer and Varus combo. The lockdown was nasty thanks to that grenade, and Chime's going nowhere.
And now you're really starting to see the power of that combo. The pressure starting to be laid on that bot side. Oh, Chad isn't spotted out.
Yeah, set up in the mid lane. Too far away from that side of the river to actually go for something here. So Chad instead will go for the invade.
Yeah, but it's tough. Surdy, he's just on the ball with this. Oh, needs to hold that.
Oh, we are so deep behind enemy lines. Daption is going to pay for it. Kill returned over to Lens, but Chime will find a double in the grand scheme.
They just keep fighting, Eric. Yeah. And it ends up being worth it still for Fear because they're the ones who get that lane, that wave in rather, and Chime is the one picking up these kills instead of Sajed. So Lens is still feeling pretty good about how this bottom lane is going, surely. And because of that, Fear are able to also get pressure on this top side, pick up the first 3 grubs. Philip gets to annoy Shaden just a little bit.
A little bit more. A little bit more of a nuisance. Put him behind even more than he was when he got first blooded earlier. Into the mid lane now. Daption's not too far away to land this grenade. Does not get the stun, but is it going to be enough with the unleashed power? Answers yes by Toasty.
Yeah, really nice roam from the support of Cincinnati Fear. And getting that gold onto Toasty's got to feel so good. We're going to take a second look at what really happened here. Chime, of course, is just being the caster minion. He's just surprising Daption a little bit. I really got to wonder at what point are we just not going to, I don't know, look at the weird movements of minions, press tab when every wave comes in. I'm super paranoid about that stuff because I know what Nico could do.
Chad in the top lane going after Surdy. Surdy will burn his flash, still gets stunned up by Chad, however. Now World Ender is going to be used, but you're not going to have enough regen to get out of the 2v1 scenario. Kill going over to Fear, and FlyQuest move to drag.
I mean, even with that dragon taken, you got to feel really good about this early game as Cincinnati Fear. And the fact is, in game 1, it was not very good. None of the plays they went for worked. They also had a comp that got pretty badly outscaled. And despite their valiant effort, it was a pretty convincing loss that FlyQuest handed to them. This time around, though, they're up 2,000 gold. You can see Toasty is 2-0, Chad is 1-0-1. You see just the love is basically spread all across the map here. It's not a big gold dip when everybody has been picking up kills, but this is a good start, especially if they're able to get more grubs, because I foresee this team hitting turret.
Shaden's coming down to the bottom lane. Here comes Chime. Gets the double Pop Blossom. It's doom and gloom for the bot lane of Cincinnati Fear.
I kind of want to replay on that one. It didn't look like Chime's ult hit, but either way, it's a really nice double stun coming through from the Pop Blossom. And it's just a great look from Chime to get something back for the side of FlyQuest.
You never really know when it's exactly going to hit because elevation can be a little bit wonky.
That's
I don't know
true.
If you saw the video.
Maybe they got Z-axis. You're right.
Yeah. There was a video put up by, I forgot who, one of the Korean players, where he was showing the Jin Deadly Flourish and how inaccurate it can be based off elevation.
Oh, you know what? I take it back. He was in it. He was in it. I completely retract my statement. It was just a nice play from Chime, Shaden, who stuck around. And by the way, double kill for Chime, not so great. Double kill for Shaden, we like that. Brand really likes that.
Oh, yeah. The world will burn at the fury of Shaden. And once you get to these team fights, and you do press R, and you have a fed brand, and your team is any bit clumped, he can absolutely decimate a fight by himself.
Yeah. So the thing that kind of favors Fear, in my opinion, is the fact that I look at Toasty and Lens, who both have a lot of range damage, who outrange this brand. So that's where my eyes are on in some of these skirmishes and team fights. There is a world where you get a good scatter of the week because Shaden needs to walk close to get some of these spells off, and you just blow him up very quickly with that unleashed power and get Chad his first reset. Because remember, guys, you have a lot of bursts on this team as Fear, and it just takes one for Chad to start resetting as Diego. That's their win condition.
I do like how the bot lane is going for Fear. It is about a 20 CS deficit for Sajed thus far. No favor to how much fighting has been going on down here, and that fighting's still going to continue. Fate's Call going to be used. Chime, not in the right spot. Doesn't really need it, though, because Pop Blossom is a big area of effect. Still one going to go down. as Sajed unable to make it towards the next stage of the fight. Dapshin's getting the better of this one. Dapshin! Double kill, fights it back for Fear, and now here comes the teleport. Surdy has arrived, but his teammates have been destroyed. He will head for the heels of Fear, take a team fight win.
Wow, and it's a great play there. So many kills go over to Fear, and it's a very successful fight. Even with all the teleports coming through, FlyQuest couldn't make it work, and it was the one that they started, no less. So now it's plate gold going over. There's more gold to spend for members of Fear, and that burst damage that is so crucial to them winning out future team fights just continues to get that much more dangerous.
And there's so much potential for Fear to take us to a game 3, 2.2k in the lead. And what a play from Dapshin as well. It's the better of that one on the back end of it. I do want to take another look at that because he was so critical. And
props to Sajed, the insta cleanse on the Chain of Corruption so that he could get close enough to send Chime in there. But I mean, Dapshin, the man of the hour, being able to get so much damage by so much time and get the 2 for 2, or rather get the double kill while his team was showing up to save the day. Really good stuff. And looking in the picture as well, because of that lead they have, they rotated their bot lane topside to make sure that they can also get the last set of grubs. That's Fear having all 6 of them, by the way. So they're going to be doing a lot of damage to these turrets.
FlyQuest so far undefeated on the season in the 2 series that they've played. Fear want to take at least one game away from that and send us to a game number 3. It would be the first game number 3 of FlyQuest. So far, it is a rough start coming out from them. The bot lane not doing that well, the mid lane not doing that well. It really puts it all onto Shaden to get FlyQuest back into a good state for the mid game.
And it's still possible that he can do that. I mean, this champion, once you get rivalized too, if you are in your range, it's really hard for people to get on top of you because you're slowing them quite a bit, and it's very annoying to have to deal with and play against. And that's kind of what you're looking to leverage in these team fights. The fact that he's going to have a lot of damage and a lot of slows. And also, that combo with the Callista Nico, that's still going to work in a lot of these fights later on. Oh, wow.
Beware of the scatter of the week. Unleashed power comes out. A shutdown's going to be found. 1-for-1 trade. Chad gets the reset. Dapshin for Toasty.
And that means it's going to be a Drake as well. Even though FlyQuest got the first one, Fear are going to be able to go for some Drake stacking of their own, or at the very least, prevent FlyQuest from building to a soul anytime soon. And it just feels like every angle FlyQuest take, it looks good for a second. And then Fear managed to turn it around. This may be the moment, though, Lens. They're waiting for him in the brush, but he knows. He's playing Heimer. It's kind of acceptable.
Yeah, it's not the acceptability. It's just the fact that he has 4 kills. Flash come now from Lens. We'll get out of the Pop Blossom in time. Dapshin, he's running low. That's a shutdown you're going to pick up. It's going straight to Sajed. A double kill on top of it. Well timed for FlyQuest.
So that is a good one coming through there for Fly. A positive play. But Philip trying to equalize just a little bit, but Surdy will live. Overall, though, you get to narrow the gold lead just a little bit there. Now it's down to 1,000, and it just shows you how powerful that combination is, especially if you are unprepared for it. Lens got punished big time there.
This might be the bloodiest bot lane we've seen in quite some time.
Probably. Just the fact that Dapshin has 5 of Fear's 11 kills, and the fact that Sajid and Chime are using that ult combo basically on repeat. Anytime it's available, anytime someone's there, Lens knew something was up, but he's like, oh man, I really need to get that wave in. It will just take 2 seconds, and then, well, you know that song. Bump, 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 ba-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na. And we don't want to do too much because it's DMCA, but basically the point is, you got caught lacking.
We don't sing in tune, don't you worry.
I mean, I speak for yourself.
Oh, okay. Don't worry, we'll have to finish that cover.
Hey, I sent you my clip.
That's true. That's on me. And so far, this game has been pretty handily over to Shaden. I do like the brand. I do like that he's been able to get into the right spots at the right time. It's just Fear have been taking these fights left, right, and center all over the map and kind of surprising FlyQuest in their own setups. Now, Philip over on this top side has to get away from shading. You got to watch out for that stun. Able to get away from the Q stun.
Oh my god.
So he has a chance to escape it. He will take it. Philip will survive.
Bit of a close call, but even without much MR, Philip is going to be able to walk away from that one. It does cost him his ghost, but that pressure means Toasty is pretty free to go ahead and take that bottom tier 1. It is that first brick as well, so a lot of extra gold going into his pocket. And on that Syndra that we talked about being so important for Fear's pick potential. Another turret right on top of that. More gold for Cincinnati. Fear got the lead back to 2K.
2K and 2 turrets taken down by Fear, both in bot and mid lane. It's going to be a little bit more of a mission if they want to get it over on the top side while Asserti is still available. It's over towards that side of the map while Fear look for their own setup in the mid lane. All meanwhile, really not too much to fight over, not too much to contend over. It's still going to be 2 minutes before the dragon does spawn. We got 3 minutes 40 before Baron is on the map. And when it comes to dragon stackings, we're pretty even in that regard. 1-1 apiece. Still FlyQuest. Look for their angle on the map to try and find a way to approach this. As they lose out more and more, it definitely gives me more worries because of the short range that we have on FlyQuest. It makes it so stuff like Scatter the Weak is just going to wreck Sajed if he's in the wrong spot. Right.
And even with the cleanse, there are still so much other CC and damage that is coming from outside his auto range. So it is actually going to be a pretty tough one for FlyQuest to play unless the engage works out perfectly. Really, their only way to close the gap is with Sajed sending Chime in so that he can get a big pop blossom. So if you can close that gap and get on top of Fear, FlyQuest have their chance. But beyond that, if Fear can keep them at arm's length, they have a great chance in some of these team fights. I think it's because
Riot.
You don't show up on the mini map. Oh, well, it actually shows as a minion. That's so trippy. I don't know if that's actually how it works. I think that's only because we're in spectator. Don't quote me.
No. This is a Riot bug. This is obviously a minion that's just stuck right there.
He's just tweaking right now. Give him a second.
I do love how much Chime has been utilizing the camo. I don't know if you saw in the bot lane. It can be so confusing when you see 3 Callistas kind of dancing around you.
And now FlyQuest dancing their way to the Rift Herald, which they should have a pretty easy time taking. So that should at least allow them to break down one of these turrets for themselves. You can already see Quad is doing some, or trying to do some work to that topside turret. If not there, then somewhere else. But it's a way for FlyQuest to get some gold back. And one thing too, I want to quickly give props to Fear. FlyQuest have been, we expected this team to be the best, or at least one of the best before the split started, and now FlyQuest have kind of pulled away from everyone else in my estimation. So the fact that Fear, they've gotten this good draft for themselves, and they're finding a lead in this early game is definitely very promising. And it would be even more so if they hand FlyQuest their first loss so far this split.
It'd be really nice to get that. So far, 2K in the lead. They're taking the right steps thus far. I mean, shutting down this bot lane, putting this bot lane behind is one of the ways to do it. They did suffer their own casualties in the process. It was mentioned at the start of this game how bad it feels to be behind as a Callista. Yeah. Sajed not exactly ahead, and that doesn't read too well for FlyQuest, but they still have other places they can play from.
Yeah, they do. And really, it's just trying to play. You can play to the side where Surdy is. You can play where Quad is. That's the nice thing about this Nico. You can follow. If you commit to the long con, you can go for a long time just as a minion, and it gets to a point where if you're stacking a wave, how do you know how many caster minions are actually supposed to be there? It gets a lot harder for them to be like, is Nico here? I don't know, man.
And then sometimes if you do find out, Sajed's just going to chuck a minion at you.
I was going to say, if you're seeing this, it's too late.
All right, invading the jungle is going to be FlyQuest. They're getting some control over onto this bottom side as they do have the Rift Herald. That's going to result in Fear kind of pushing more and more towards this top end. You can see the back was canceled out of Chad. Daption will be towards that end of the map as well. So looking for a little bit of a trade-off on where the priority is really being situated.
And I really want to touch on the priority for Fear, too. So far, they've been rotating Toasty around the map and just allowing him to get turret after turret. He got first brick bot side, he got a turret top side, and he's got to be in a really good position when you factor in the kills that he's got, too, in terms of gold. with the Ludens, with the Storm Surge, even with the nerf on this patch, he has so much burst damage, which is going to be such a big part of Fear surviving FlyQuest's initial onslaught.
Now, as the Baron is up, we are at the 20-minute mark. You always got to keep in mind that, first of all, Kalista makes it really hard to get a smite steal if a Baron situation does come up. But also, Brand does a surprising amount of damage to the Baron, so this is, while it's not the fastest, it still is a pretty quick take that FlyQuest can pull off if they want to try and dance around this Baron area.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up, because especially with Lens going the lethality version of the Varus, not the on-hit, does mean that Fear's Baron take actually kind of slow. So if Fear take an opportunity to start the Baron, it's almost certainly going to be them playing for a turn, playing for the engage with the Scatter of the Weak, maybe with the Chain of Corruption from Lens. Either way, that's basically how that one is going to look for them. FlyQuest, you can expect to just try and 100-0 it if they get the opportunity. But so far, Fear are the ones who have kind of had the run of the map so far here in Game 2. So I'm kind of banking on them to be the ones to get that first touch.
I'm telling you, we're going to set up all these different scenarios and whatnot. And you know what it's going to come down to? Big Daption right there.
ARAM mid. Oh, okay. Yeah, that too.
Yeah, ARAM mid and Big Daption just lands the grenade from hell. It's the whole
the
squad.
Grenade, the bouncing grenade of destiny, if you will.
Right. Philip, after Shaden, we'll get the flash out of Shaden, so Shaden's not going to be that safe approaching this dragon area. Still a minute 30 before it does spawn.
I mean, getting the flash out's pretty huge, too. That it's going to be a little harder for you to navigate these team fights. That means that it's easier to take advantage of your range as Brand. And, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure when you turn into a non-champion, you don't actually show on the minimap. They have to hover it to see you, and I'm pretty sure this is just a spectator thing.
It just looks so funny, though.
It does look funny. Seeing a minion,
yeah,
like I got on the minimap, is hilarious.
Especially how much Chime has been doing this.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, this is the life of a support Nico. You're not really gonna farm, so what else can you really do? Become the farm.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's just gonna be him doing the best that he can to just find the angle. I mean, props to Fear for not really leaving themselves open to it for this last little while. FlyQuest, even though they've been fishing, haven't been able to find something. And I'm curious, too, to see if they actually try and challenge for this Drake. I admit mid and bot push is there for Fear, and they have the run of this bottom side jungle. Even with the Scrying Orb, they can still walk around freely, lay down vision, and even do a push camp if they so choose, because this comp is really hard to walk into if you're not paying attention.
They're trying it.
Yeah.
They're trying it. Toasty's going to give it away by chucking over the wall, but they weren't going to walk that way anyway. Priority was more towards the top side, so that's the way they're leading in this wave. Outcome Scatter of the Week, only going to land onto the clone, unfortunately. The battle lines are now drawn. Fear are going to show up as a 5-stack. Got to be careful for that flank. Fill up on the back end does peel back.
They're going to start the Baron, I think. So either Fear have to peel off immediately, or they're just going to leave one person to do it, because like we said, FlyQuest, they can actually take this really quickly. It's already a good chunk gone, and the Ren Smite makes it so hard to steal from Fear.
Yeah, the Rend coming out from the Kalista means that you really have to be on the ball with the timing if you want to get a steal. There's only milliseconds. Instead, they want to go for it. Chad goes in straight after Shaden. Shaden's in a bad spot. Phillips able to body them against the wall, and Chad will get the first kill onto Shaden. Now Surdy in the brush, tries to step away, but it's going to be a piercing arrow to the heart of Surdy. Now with Chad down, now with Phillip down. Same thing matched. The top side of the map deleted for FlyQuest, but they are the ones who are not in position to take this fight as Lens goes forward with the flash, chasing down onto Chime. Woo! One more piercing arrow is not enough to seal the deal, but Fear in the driver's seat.
And it's a big fight. They increased this gold lead that much further, and they just put FlyQuest further into the hole. And FlyQuest didn't get anything for it. They really weren't able to get more kills. They weren't able to get the Baron. And realistically, Fear can still take this Drake. So it was a risk that really backfired big time. And look at again in the replay here. Look at Chad. Oh, actually, we got a big play happening right now. So we got to go back to live because now it's Fear. We're going to take the Baron.
Ooh, okay, so here's the real dangerous thing about taking the Baron. Brand, the moment that ultimate comes out, you guys are clumped around this Baron. It could do so much damage. If the passive goes off whatsoever and hits anyone else nearby, that is even more damage that you have to deal with. Shaden's going to be a big threat right now. He's right next to the blast plant. 4K health remains, and Fear, they haven't exactly gone into that direction. Ooh, over the wall. Chad's going to get caught out. 3K still on this Baron.
They got to call it.
Oh, they just have to peel off. It is way too much to try and take it right now, but Chime is not afraid. He will hourglass right out of the unleashed power, and FlyQuest looking for more, but Toasty still unchecked, scatters the weak, and the weak shall be FlyQuest as 3 members seek refuge from Fear.
Wow, such a big scatter coming through from Toasty, and this time we saw the difference. The fight at the last Baron take, Chad went in, got a kill, but died. Couldn't reset. This time around, though, he started to reset, and it still ends up being an overwhelming victory there for Cincinnati Fear. They get the dragon. Took a while, but they now have their soul point. They have even more gold to speak of. The window continues to close for FlyQuest Challengers and game number 2 to keep their perfect record.
FlyQuest now behind 3.3K, still trying to find something back, but Quad might be caught out. Surdy's not far to defend.
Low health.
Solo laners of FlyQuest looking for a full retreat. Toasty, Scatter the Weak, gonna land onto Surdy. Surdy's stunned up.
Got him.
Here comes Chime. It's far too late. Reset found by Chad.
Yeah, that's Surdy with no flash being taken down means Fear, they can do this song and dance again. They can go ahead and take the Baron, and Shaden doesn't have the ult to play with. So this time, Fear might actually be able to just finish this Baron 100-0 and get exactly what they need to take us to game 3.
There's no blast plant for Shaden. Ult will come up pretty soon. It's not available right now. Right now, Shaden can still get in there.
Maybe he
be careful, 5K health remains. Ooh, he might just go for it. It's still 3K. Philip's coming over. Philip jumps onto Shaden. Now still looking to go over the wall is going to be Chad, but here we go. Pop Blossom going to be used onto Chad. Chad's taking a lot of damage, so is Philip. Philip's going to fall.
Wow.
Oh, down goes the Baron. It gets secured by the name of Fear. Teleport now coming in from Surdy. Looks to rejoin in this fight. Baron Nashor over to Cincinnati Fear. And they'll be able to chase away the remaining members of FlyQuest, or get chased away by the remaining members of FlyQuest. They lose 2 in the process. Going to be a good win for Fear as they get a good bit of momentum headed their way.
Yeah, it is a little unlucky that Philip was one of the ones to go down, because it will impact Fear's ability, I think, to play multiple lanes with this Baron buff, because I really think Toasty shouldn't be the one on his own. You want him with the team, you want him with the group and covered, so that if a fight breaks out, like, he is just so much of your damage. So it does kind of limit a little bit what Fear might be able to get done, but this is still a pretty big win in their books. I agreed. They have this lead that's up to 4K. We're 3 minutes till their Dragon Soul comes up. And FlyQuest, you really don't have a leg to stand on. The engages have looked good. Chime has been able to find a lot of good ultimates, but they just haven't amounted to any real kills.
Yeah, I really want to give credit to Chime's ultimates. They look fantastic. They look great. They're just not closing out the way FlyQuest want to. And now you're in a situation where you're trying to poke away at Fear, slowly chip away at those health bars, and try and get a way to get a pick onto Fear, because...
Oh, is that Chime?
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be Chime.
Oh, it is Chime.
He is deep behind enemy lines.
They don't know. They're going to know, and this is what you have to do at this point in the game. It's got to take a crazy play like this. Big Pop Blossom.
Spotted. Here it is. Pop Blossom comes out. Lens is going to be caught by it, but still cutting out the route. Quad goes down to Toasty, and the rest of FlyQuest have their wings clipped. Surdy tries to fight back, but it's far too late. Damnation has found FlyQuest, and while they wanted the perfect season, it's not looking the case. A triple kill from Chad.
And they have the wave mid. I'm surprised they're not going for it. Maybe they don't think they're going to be able to actually end the game. But at the very least, that mid inhibitor is going to go down. And they're going to be able to take 2 of them. But it's still such a big deal here for Cincinnati Fear to be able to get this overwhelming advantage. 6,000 gold, going to be 7,000 any minute now in favor of the team in purple, and they're actually just going to back away before they take inhibitors. I really think the two of them went together. They could have just ended the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I am a little surprised.
If they went for the same inhibitor, follow that minion wave in, try and close out the game. I really thought that was going to be the case, but I guess not feeling confident enough to go for that route. Whatever. It is what it is. And Fear still going to be setting the pace of this game. 6.6k in the lead. And look what's spawning soon. We got 40 seconds before that Dragon Soul.
That's right. Philip, though, choosing to go towards this big stacking top wave to knock down another turret, it looks like. And I'm thinking Fear are actually going to forego this Dragon. Because realistically, even though Cloud Soul is pretty good for them, just more gold instead of this Soul, I think ends up being the right call. Lens is in the area too, so he does a lot of damage at 4 items. And actually, it's all of Fear who are here, forcing Shaden to have to go, or not Shaden, that's Chime, I think, to have to go for a recall. Yeah, Chime is just chilling at the Dragon Pit.
He's just still over there. Maybe he goes for another one of those deep flanks that he was doing before. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the idea. He's going right into the tri-bush that is right behind the Dragon. They don't know he's right there at the moment. So this could be a pretty deadly flank setup. You believe B?
Honestly, no. It would have to be like a 5-man Nico ulti. And maybe we are going to see that. Chat is surrounded.
Oh, here we go. Flash in.
Three's good.
To get a 3-man. Pop Blossom 2 are down. And FlyQuest are fighting back. They're going to lose quad in the fight. Still going forward, though.
No
it's
way.
Another kill coming out. And suddenly, FlyQuest, they find 3 beat down. It's working.
I mean, that's Fear. That's a really good catch out for FlyQuest. They get a Drake, they deny the Soul, and they get themselves some gold. Buy themselves some much-needed time. And they kind of punish Chad for going for that Dragon solo. Because of their choice to focus attention mid and top side, it's pretty easy to guess for FlyQuest that there wasn't a whole lot of vision set in and around that Dragon. So they capitalized on it. I'm not going to say FlyQuest are back in the game, but Fear may be starting to sweat a little bit. Or maybe not.
It's going to take more answers like that.
Yeah.
But not this.
No.
As Lens, easy kill onto Shaden. Now you're going to be down a jungler. Fortunately for him, it's still around the Baron timer, but you're going to have to beeline over there if you're in that vicinity.
Right, and it's tough because with Shaden being down, there's no chance that him and Chime are going to set up any vision at all. It was hard enough with that gold lead that Fear have. Now, it just means there's no vision. 30 can't actually finish this red buff, I'm pretty sure. He's just going to have to let that one go as you see the rest of Fear setting up wards, taking space away from FlyQuest Challengers, as this Baron is almost certainly going to be theirs.
All the credit in the world coming out from Chime. You know, he was dealt a hand when it came with TSM and them pretty much leaving the scene. Still had to find another team, able to get it over with the FlyQuest squad, and you know, we're seeing these plays come out of Chime. We're seeing just how good of a support he can be. In situations like this, it's Chime that's setting up these big team fight plays for FlyQuest while they're behind to try and get them back in the game. And for the most part, that has been the area that FlyQuest are playing around as they try and surmount a comeback.
Yeah, try is definitely the operative word, because now that the Baron has gone over once again, you're talking about Chime finding these angles for this potential comeback. Well, all the pressure is going to be on him, on this Nico, because it is going to take those big multi-man Pop Blossoms to even give FlyQuest a ghost of a chance to come back.
Thing is, they found him before.
They found one.
They find him again. That's going to be the big question right now. I mean, Chime.
They found one in 35 minutes, Eric. I'm not sold yet.
Okay. I'm going to be sold if I see Chime pass the middle line once again.
Okay.
Get Chime back there. Get him on a deep flank.
Okay.
I am sold.
Yeah. Okay. I can get behind that. It is going to have to take another legendary flank from the Nico. And, I mean, we did get confirmation. The minion only shows on the minimap because we are in the spectator client. So, again, you have to hover over it as the members of Fear when he's transformed into a non-champion. So that does make it a little easier for Chime to go for this setup, but you got to do it just right.
Setup coming out from Fear. They want to grab this inhibitor. There's no tower there to protect it. See Chime trying to find his angle. Surdy blocking in the mid. Adaption over in that back line has been pretty big on this Heimerdinger as well.
Has been.
A lot of the zone control you get from Heimer makes it hard for FlyQuest to really advance here. So Fear advancing once more onto another inhibitor. FlyQuest trying to defend it. Shaden's able to get some damage onto Philip, but it's not enough to dissuade Cincinnati Fear. They'll be able to grab another inhibitor. 2 down, 1 more to go.
Wow, and it's just that much more pressure on the map in favor of Fear. They're really close to being able to just close this one out. With FlyQuest base exposed, it's really just going to take one fight. And whether or not that fight happens in the Dragon that's spawning a minute and a half from now is what I'm keeping my eyes out for. I remember that player survey, that content bit we did last week, Eric?
Yeah.
Chad was one of the people we asked. And when asked who was going to win the split, he did shout out FlyQuest. But he also said us. Love that confidence. And they're almost... I mean, Fear are about one good play from tying this series and taking that first step to proving it.
50 seconds without Quad. A lot of time for Fear to work right here and to lead this wave in. And remember, Quad is your long range. So he helps out when it comes to clearing these with those empowered shock blasts. You're not going to have that this time. You're going to be relying on Shaden to get some wave clear. That's going to bring him a little bit closer to the danger zone where he doesn't want to be. Cincinnati Fear. Ooh, that is exactly why! Scat of the Week with the piercing arrow does its job. Chime comes in. Health bars are low for the back line. Daption will fall. Surdy has to back out. Able to flash away, but Cincinnati Fear will not be denied. They'll chase away FlyQuest. They'll send him seeking refuge, and now Cincinnati Fear looking for the end.
And the end is what they're going to get. They managed to get that early game plan going for themselves, Eric, and now they're going to hand FlyQuest Challengers their first loss in Spring Split.
Another pick coming through, and Cincinnati Fear are going to do it. The #1 team, voted by everyone. Cincinnati Fear just took them down.
And as Fear, you got to feel fantastic after that one. A lot of the confidence you hear from some of the players kind of pays off in a moment like that, especially some things we hear from Chad all the time. But it was really nice. You got to give credit where credit is due. Fear got a good draft for themselves, and I think the pick that really stood out to me ended up being Daption on the Heimerdinger, because that bottom lane was such a bloodbath, but the advantage was still consistently over to him and Lens.
The bloodiest bot lane we have ever seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I echo that completely. Lens and Daption, they were pretty much diving the tower by themselves. They didn't need even a jungler to pull off some of the plays they were going for. So congratulations over to Fear for tying up the series. It's a best of 3, so we got 1 more to go. We'll be right back, and when we return, we'll get into game number 3, Cincinnati Fear versus FlyQuest Challengers. Introducing the new foot-long sidekicks at Subway. Try the warm and delicious foot-long cookie, foot-long pretzel, or foot-long churro.